So I went spearfishing in the Atlantic of Trinidad and Tobago. We're located 25 miles outside Manzanilla Point, that is outside Toko, on a reef called Barrastone, better known as Damien Rock, and known for big fish. All right. Upon doing that, I went down to about 60 feet, got caught in an undercurrent, and had was to surface. I surfaced. By the time I surfaced, the boat was approximately about a mile away from me. Now the current is running like a river on any day, right? So there's no chance to say you're going to have to swim back to the boat because you can't at all. And at that point in time, I started to think about, okay, what I'm gonna do. I raise the gun, I blow the whistle, nobody didn't hear me. So I continue swimming with the current. Now I watching land, but land is so small, right? You can barely make out land. So I decide to go with the current, and this is about 10 o'clock in the morning. Go with the current towards land, and survival instinct kick in, and I took like little landmarks where Toko Point is, where the next point is, and I start to swim to land. Now the current pushing downstream to land, but not exactly towards land. So I have to swim with the current and cut in towards land. At that point in time, keep on swimming. During the course of the day, I started to catch cramp. I did the exercise for it, and after that, that was it. While swimming, I started to pray, all right? Because it's you and one person outside there, and that is God, right? So I took all the negativity and put it behind me. So I started to think about positive things outside there, right? And I said to myself that I want to reach home and smile with friends and do everything that I love to, right? I never make no promises outside there, right? I just wanted to go back home and smile and make joke and do what I love. And continue swimming. About 12 o'clock in the day, I saw the boat again, and I waved the gun, blew the whistle, nothing. So I continued swimming again. I saw some fishes, and I started start to play with the fishes in the water just to keep my mind off of any negativity, all right? Because outside there, have big sharks, big barracuda, and they will come to see what it is floating in the water, right? We experienced it already because the same day when I went missing, the guys and them saw one big bull shark, but I didn't saw the shark, right? The shark he was doing his natural job, hunting, looking for fish, and that's what made the guys and them surface. And when they surface and they're waiting to see if I would have come back on top of the surface, then they realized, well, hey, something wrong. So they actually went back down in the water, as far as I understand, and looked for me, but I was never there, right? And I keep on telling the boatman that, hey, that guy, I knew him that well, he is not underneath there. That guy is surface, and he's somewhere floating away in the ocean, and you didn't see him. So 12 o'clock in the day, like I said, I was playing with the fishes, and when I looked behind my foot, right, it was bleeding, right, due to friction from the fins, and it was hurting. I could not do nothing. I said to myself, I say, Chris, the most it could do is hurt at this situation right now, but you need to stay up and swim to land and go home. All right, so all this time I swimming, praying, asking God to protect me, you know, make sure I see no shark, you understand, because I have a fear for shark, right? Make sure no fish come and want to take a little nibble on me, right? Because all this time I bleeding in the water, All right. So I took off my wetsuit. Well, part of my wetsuit, I have a two-piece wetsuit. I was still diving with the oxygen tank, still had it on my back. And I use out the oxygen tank and I tie up the oxygen tank for a flotation device. And I put it straight across my chest and I hug it up, right? To feel that I have something to hold on to outside there. And keep on swimming during the day. Let's keep on swimming. About 6 o'clock in the evening, that is when reality kicked in. That is when I realized, well, hey, the time I took to reach from where I was to here, there's no time I reach on land anytime soon, because the current outside there in the Atlantic is very strong. You cannot swim against it. You have to swim with it, right? And 12 o'clock in the night, I ditched the tank because it was getting a little heavy. I fell asleep 4 times on myself outside there, right? Actually sinking, right? Going down in the water, and I catch myself hitting my face. I actually hit my face and say, hey, Chris, you cannot sleep here. Anytime you fall asleep here, it's down you're going. I never say you're going to die or anything like that. I try to take all the negativity and put it behind me. And at that time in the night, I was swimming, I saw a big boat and tried to call, but no help. So I had also ditch the tank because rain and stuff come, block off the mountain. Now the current started to go the opposite direction now. So the current was pushing towards land. Now the current pushing me back where I came from, back outside, right? But during the day, like around 6 o'clock, I was actually looking for a landmark to say, well, hey, I'm going to that point and that point alone. And I had this one particular light, right? And I saw this light whole night, and I swam to this light, keep on swimming to this one particular light. And when you see the light, it only dimming and coming. So I know it's trees that's blocking the light and coming back. And keep on swimming to this one particular light. Rain come, fall, block of the mountain, block of light. I started spinning next direction, started swimming the wrong way, right? And after I clear up, then I realized, oh, hey, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going back out, right? So I get back my bearings and I keep swimming to this one particular light. Now I have about 100 lights on land, but this one light, I just swimming to right through. And about 3 o'clock, actually it was 3 o'clock, right? I reached on a beach called Lansgaya, but before I reached the beach, I realized I was coming closer. So I started hearing rocks, right? So it's like bash, 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 bash. It's like a movie, you know, like you fall off a boat in a movie and in a rocky place, and you're just hearing rocks on the left, rocks on the right. And where that place is in Lansgaya, is in Toko, is very rough. That is close to the lighthouse. It's very rough, right? That is why I was seeing the water hitting the rocks. And I took the spear gun because I came back in with the spear gun and my regulator, right? And I put the spear gun in front of me to use it as something that I wouldn't bounce any reef or any rock or anything, because my head down in the water trying to swim towards land, and I don't know what's in the water. I never dived there before or anything like that. And it so happened, I never touched nothing. When I reached on the beach in Lansgaya, I turned around, took off my fins, grab up my gears, and as I reached on the beach, my 2 feet collapsed. I could not walk. I had to crawl. I crawled up on some rocks. I saw the light. It so happened to be a house. And I said at that time, when I look at my computer, I said, I saw 3 o'clock, right? And I went on some logs. I remember seeing some big long logs, like trees. And I went and lie down there because I know I'm somewhere in Toko. I don't know exactly where I am, right? And I say, you know what? I come too far. I survive for anything else to happen. Now I have plenty bush and thing around, and I don't know exactly the place I in, right? So I went and lie down on the logs and until about 5:30 until I start to see light, and then I get up and I start to walk. And I walk by the house. I saw the house lock up. I passed through a yard. I was looking for dogs, and so I didn't see no dogs or anything like that. I saw a little camp outside a property, and I went with a light and I went and called. And I called, and this guy came out and he said, "How may I help you?" I said, "Well, partner, can you please call my family, call the police, just let everybody know I reached back safe. Since yesterday, 10 o'clock in the morning, right, I was lost at sea," right? He said, "Okay, Redman, no scene," right? That was his exact words. "You sit down there and I coming to you." And that same morning, he was there, didn't just get up to leave because the property I came upon was approximately about 1.5 miles inside from the main road, right? And they was now leaving the morning to go in the hospital because that same morning his son got shot, right? And he said, "Okay, no problem, I'll assist you, I'll help you." So he gave me a change of clothes, thing to eat, and he asked me to remember a number to call. And I couldn't remember no numbers. I was only remembering like the first 3 digits, and that was it. So I keep on taxing my mind. Then eventually, when I eat, I start to feel warm. He come out in the sun. He said, "Redman, you relax yourself. The most important thing, you're safe, and thank God for that." Right? So I sat down outside, and then I start to remember numbers. And then I call my partner. He didn't answer. Call my next partner. He didn't answer. And then I call my partner father, and then he answer, and then help came for me. I went to the Toko health facility. They discharged me there, and I went back to the beach. And while talking to everybody was like, "Hey boy, we are now coming to look for you. We now push down the gas tanks and stuff to come back in the sea," right? I said, "Well, boy, I'm so happy to be alive and to see everybody's face here today." And while speaking to them, I just collapsed, right? They rushed me to Matura Health Facility. When I reached Matura, they put me on drips. By the time I leave Matura, I was on my second IV, second bag of drips. They rushed me to Sandy Grande Hospital, and they ward me there for a couple hours. Well, and by the time in the evening, I was strong and healthy, and they discharged me from there. Right? So my journey to this ordeal was heartbreaking, right? Because it's had another guy who went missing this year, I think, and doing the same thing, diving like me, and he got lost and they never find him. And it was sad. It's a sad thing, right? And in any situation, no matter what you get yourself into, right? What I learned from my dad, right, is never give up. No matter what. Life very hard, right? So no matter what in life is a learning experience for me and for other people, because I went to schools, church to share my testimony with people, because I am blessed here today to share my experience with you all, and I'm happy to be alive, and that's the most important thing. So thank you for having me, and God bless.
Somebody's giving you a round of applause. Did you hear?
Yes.
and stuff. Right. So that was Christopher's story. So how did you all feel about listening to that, especially hearing that, other divers went missing and, it's a problem, and in terms of finding people and like the fishermen in general being stranded out at sea and help being very limited and stuff. So how did you guys feel listening to that story?
Listen, I already told you my biggest fear is drowning. So and like that, I was reeling through that whole story. So I mean, hats off to you. God is so good that you survived. But thanks for sharing your story, man. I really was really it grabbed my attention. You had me from you started talking straight to the end.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And so what would you guys think would be like the best way to share this story with other people to probably start a movement on, like, for example, sea safety and stuff like that? Like, what platform would you use or what tools would you use to get this story out there to people to make it as effective as possible? Anybody at all?
I was thinking, say that, we have like, when we having trainings, then, they can have like, here in Dominica, they do fisherman training. So, at those training, they can have that be the recording showing. So, to educate people about how the Atlantic is and, inform them, do not give up, keep trying. And yes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, you hit the nail on the head with that one. I see some other people saying social media, TikTok, YouTube would be a great way to get it out there to make a good impact and stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys really took something from it and understand what I was trying to prove really and truly. It's just that the power of a story. So like I said, we could hear statistics on 25% of the fishermen go missing at sea and something, and like you hear that and you don't really connect with it, but listening to Christopher's story, you were definitely able to connect with everything he was saying and his experience and really understand the problem a little better and feel somewhat compelled to either learn more or something. So I'm seeing one or two definitely's in the chat. So yay for that. We will move on to the next story. So like I mentioned, we have, she could not be here, Tara Roberts, National Geographic storyteller, but she really wanted to get her work and stuff out there to you guys and contribute to this session. And let me share my screen. Okay, so you're seeing that. You guys are seeing the video, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're pressing play. And this, to me, the story is very cool. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
My name is Tara Roberts. I am a National Geographic explorer and storyteller. And for the last few years, I've been following a group of Black scuba divers around the world as they search for and help document slave shipwrecks. I come from a journalism background. I was a magazine editor and writer for a really long time. And I think that my heart and my soul is connected to storytelling and really to giving voice to those whose voices haven't been heard. Storytelling, or I should say stories, are the way that we make sense of the world. I think that's how we understand who we are, how we're connected to each other. I think stories are the things that give us our values, our morals. And again, I think that they help us make sense of all the data that's coming in. They help us make sense of the world. It's absolutely imperative that there are stories from people of color. Much of the history of the world has been written without the voices and perspectives and ideas of people of color. So finally, I think there's more agency for that. There's more power, there are more platforms, more spaces. And when we tell stories, we help to give complexity and nuance to the past and to history. We help make sense of the world. And there's a way that our perspectives, by the way, are not singular. Like, it's not one Black perspective or one any other kind of perspective. It's needing multiple voices inside of our communities to help build that complexity and to help us understand the world and what's happening in it. Into the Depths is a 6-part narrative podcast series that is produced in part by National Geographic. And inside of the podcast, we tell the story of me following these Black divers around the world as they search for and help document slave shipwrecks. But we also tell the stories of the ships. We tell the stories of the people who were lost on those ships. And we tell the stories of the communities and the divers who are passionate about and dedicated to raising those stories from the ocean floor and bringing them back into memory. And the other thing that happens in the podcast is we tell the story of my journey and my relationship to learning this past. So I think I've had a fraught relationship with the past. I was a bit afraid of really delving too deeply into Black history. And that's partly because most of our stories are centered in our pain and our trauma. And I was really afraid of being re-traumatized. So there's a way that I've avoided stories of slavery, of the slave trade. It just seemed like too much, and my heart just, quite frankly, couldn't handle it. But I will say that doing this work of searching for slave shipwrecks surprisingly brought such a sense of healing to that space for me. There is something about confronting the material evidence of the past, actually seeing it, putting your hands on it. It means you can't hide from it anymore. You can't ignore it. You actually have to look at it and look at it in an unflinching way. And there's power in that. It's kind of like, I don't know, if you have a boo-boo, I don't know if anybody says boo-boo anymore, but if you have like a boo-boo or you hurt yourself, if you don't look at the wound, how can you ever heal that wound? Like, first you got to look at it and then you have to move through it. So what's happening for me through this search for slave shipwrecks is that I've been called, been asked, been sort of forced to look at the past. And what I see, this is also a thing that's really surprising to me, is I don't see, well, that's not true. I don't only see stories of death. What I see are stories of life. This statistic was the thing that really hit my heart and made me want to be a part of this work deeply. I found out, I did not know this, that 1.8 million Africans died in the Middle Passage. Sit with that number for a second. 1.8 million Africans died in the Middle Passage, and there is no one grieving them, mourning them. There's no memorial to them. So this work that we're doing is also about honoring those people. It's acknowledging their lives, saying we see you, we haven't forgotten about you, and we honor you. And that to me is power. That is not a sad story. That is a story of agency. That is a story of triumph. So when I go down under the waves, down in the sea, and I'm encountering artifacts, I'm diving with these divers, I feel so proud that we have raised our hands and we've said we are not going to wait for someone else who doesn't look like us to decide that this history is important and to share it with the world. We've said, no, we're going to be the ones that help bring these stories from the ocean's bottom and back into memory. And that feels good. It's more than good. It feels joyful. It's amazing work. Yeah, so this didn't happen when I was underwater, but as a part of the journey, I decided to go to Benin and Togo, 2 countries in West Africa. And I went there because I did an ancestry DNA test, and it said that my highest percentage was from Benin and Togo. And because I was traveling in West Africa, I thought, let me go to Benin and Togo. And I really wanted to walk the slave trail. I wanted to go from a barracoon, and barracoons are the structures where they kept captive Africans in anticipation of being sold into slavery. And I wanted to walk that route and to see what it was like going from the barracoon to the sea, to the door of no return there. And so I did. And one thing that I didn't know that was along the way, which was, it definitely sat with me, but all of the captive Africans in their march to the sea were made to walk around a tree, and they called it the tree of forgetfulness. And so women would have to walk around it 7 times, and men would have to walk around it 9 times. And the point of it was to make people forget their identity, their heritage, their culture, so that they would be blank canvases for their slave masters. And so when I got there, I walked around that tree. And granted, I'm sure it's not the same tree. This was, hundreds of years before, but they had like a representation at that tree. And it was in a small town, and there were people from that town there, and they were sort of laughing at me as I was walking around that tree. But I didn't care. American coming to Africa, I'm sure they were like, really, people? But I felt like I needed to do that. And it still sits with me. Like I did it in quiet and just walked 7 times. That intention to have you forget who you are so that you can be something for someone else. And I think that connects very much to why we don't know the names of the estimated 1.8 million people who lost their lives. I would say to young folks out there in the Caribbean, that there's something really powerful in following your curiosity. That's how I got to this story. I happened to go to a museum in Washington, D.C., and in that museum, I saw a picture of these Black divers, and I was curious about them. I was like, who are they? What are they doing? What is this about? And that curiosity led me to make a phone call. First I Googled them, and then I made a phone call. And I kept following the curiosity. The founder of the group, Diving with a Purpose, invited me to come dive with them. And originally I came to dive because I wanted to be a part of the work. Like I was also following that inner voice inside of me and that passion that I felt. Like I wasn't a scuba diver. I wasn't, like we just spoke, I wasn't somebody who wrote a lot about slavery or the slave trade, but those divers sparked something inside of me. The idea of adventure, the idea of the ocean, the idea of going down and being able to, like dive, like folks you see on the television, diving in and out of ships. I was just completely intrigued by it. And so I followed that. I was like, I want to do that. And when I decided I wanted to do that and I got into the class, I got to know these people. And as I got to know these people, I was like, there's a story here. And I was like, wait, I'm a journalist. Maybe I should be trying to tell their story. Yeah. And as it grew, I realized this excited me so much. And I wanted to devote more and more of my time and energy to it. So I ended up quitting my job without an assignment. I didn't have funding. I had nothing, but I knew that there was something about this story that was calling me forward and that was speaking to me. And so I put all my eggs in one basket. I was just like, I don't care. I'm going to find a way to tell this story. And I quit my job in February of 2018. And by that time, I had gotten my scuba certification. I told the group Diving with a Purpose, I was like, I'm going to quit my job because I want to tell your story. And they were like, hold on. We're happy you're excited, but don't take drastic steps like that. But I was like, no, I feel it. I want to do it. You don't have to take any responsibility for this, but I really want to get your story out there in a bigger way. And so I spent months meditating, journaling, laying in beaches. I had to get more dives in to be able to participate in the work. So sitting on beaches, just trying to listen to my inner voice and feeling like I was being guided in some sort of way. The Nat Geo Explorer grant ended up in my inbox. Like, I didn't know that Nat Geo gave grants to people to tell stories. And if I am not mistaken, the storytelling tract was at that time a relatively new track. Like before that, they gave grants mainly to scientists, to historians, but they decided that storytelling was important. And I came across this story around that time. So I feel like that's also, maybe it was the ancestors, it was the universe, whatever, word you want to use. Something was guiding me and saying that there's a path here. Like, you just have to keep following it and we will keep unveiling that for you. So I ended up applying for a Nat Geo grant. I don't know if that's something that will happen, but it doesn't matter. Like, I'll put in an application. If that doesn't come through, I was like, I will save up my money, get a little 360 camera. I was already plotting, like, well, I can meet them here. I could do this then. Maybe I'll do that later. I don't know who will be interested, but I could do a blog. Like, I was coming up with all sorts of ways that I could tell the story. But by September, the grant came through. And so that gave me my first support in being able to tell the story. But I share that just to say that I think, one, you follow your curiosity. And as you follow your curiosity, you see what excites you, what stirs up a passion, and you follow that. And then there is a bit of trust, I think, that has to happen. And you watch and see what unfolds. And I think that guides you to what you can be doing. So not that everyone should, no one should just go up and quit your job, unless that's what your inner voice is telling you to do. But so, long way to say, just follow that curiosity and listen to your excitement, and you'll come across great stories that way. So Into the Depths is, it's a podcast that is available wherever you get your podcasts. So Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, it's on all the platforms. And the March issue of National Geographic magazine is out right now. And I wrote the cover story for the magazine. And I'm on the cover of the magazine. So if you want to check that out, super cool to take a look at that. And if anybody wants to follow me, I'm on Instagram at curvypath_Tara. Super cool to take a look at that. And if anybody wants to follow me, I'm on Instagram at curvypath_Tara.
And that's it. I hope everyone is still awake. I know her voice is very soothing as well as the music. It's giving like meditation vibes, but hope you guys listened and enjoyed it. How do you feel about that story? I'm seeing powerful. I'm seeing she's amazing. I feel so inspired. Just whoa, loved it. And so was her story. Amazing storyteller. Loved it. And stuff. So yeah, and her platform for sharing that story was podcast. Like she said, she has 6 podcast episodes. So essentially, like I said, with stories, there are different ways that you could tell it. Me sitting down here speaking to you guys, that was one way. Interview, podcasts, documentaries, photos, etc. So I'm seeing more beautiful story, gets you thinking. It was really good. Loved it. All of that. So yes, I hope that you guys really connected with those 2 stories, and the point really hit home that stories are very powerful tools that can be used to bring about change, to lead a campaign, or to do whatever it is you feel like doing. And the more personal and real a story is, the better. People can always tell when you're being fake or not authentic and stuff like that. So now it is 9:45, so I would give you guys like a 10 minutes break. You could probably get some breakfast, stretch a little bit, and when we come back, we would have Ram and Noah from Pendulum that will really dive into the structure of stories, the art of storytelling, and all that good stuff to give you the tools to be storytellers. Those were just examples of stories. And I'm also saying, I'm impressed, amazing story, a beautiful story. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed the 2 stories that were shared. So feel free to stretch your legs a little bit and come back in 10 minutes. So at 9:55. All right, get some breakfast for those of you all who didn't eat. I don't want anybody passing out in my sessions, please. And thank you. Oh, what's the last name of the fisherman? I will send it in the chat. Ooh, I spelled his first name wrong. Okay. Okay, so it's 9:55. We should be starting back now. So I give everybody 1 minute to come back in your room. I hope that little bit of soca woke you guys up if you were feeling tired. And let's see. I saw 1 or 2 people said they were jumping and waving and big tunes. So love that. Is everybody here and ready? Could send a thumbs up reaction or smiley face. I see 1 thumbs up. My gosh, Shannon, you're the only one ready. Okay, smiley face, yes. All right. Well, for this next hour, we have, like I said, Ram and Noah, who are going to be sharing with you guys from Pendulum. So Ram, Noah, feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Khadija, and hello, everyone. My name is Ram, and this is Noah over there. So we are the founders of Pendulum. We're a creative change agency. What does that mean? It means that we try and help people to tell their stories through photography, filmmaking, and writing text, promoting campaigns and exhibitions worldwide to people and organizations that we believe in the work that they do. Khadija is one of those people doing amazing work for the world. So we really thank you for the opportunity. Noah, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
No, just to say thank you and good morning to everybody. We're super happy to be with you all. Thank you, Khadija, for inviting us.
So I'm actually based in Tel Aviv, that is in Israel, in the Middle East. That's where Noah and I met when we were 10 years old, and we've been best friends ever since. I want to tell you just a few sentences about my relationship to storytelling. I've been taking pictures since I'm a kid. In the army, which we all have to go here in Israel, I was an army photographer, and that's where I saw the power of storytelling, not to do so good. I saw it being used for propaganda, for war, for conflicts, and ever since then, I'm on a personal journey to correct that, to use storytelling for good, to use storytelling for impact, to create real world change. And that's a big part of why we started Pendulum. So that's me. That's a little bit about my history. And Tara really spoke well about the power of stories that we humans are so much connected to. And on that opportunity, I would like to say that both Tara and Christopher did an amazing job for us to set up the stage for how much stories can really move us. I felt their stories, I felt their personal connection to it, and they got me engaged and really curious to see where they will take their stories from and how can I join them in whatever cause they want to promote around their stories. That being said, we can see that stories are what makes us human, right? We can see it in our religions are based on stories, our art, the tales we're told as children before bedtime, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what do we do, everything is connected to storytelling. And on that note, I would like to share my screen and so that we can start break down what does a good story entail. What's the recipe for a good story, from everything from religious stories till TikTok today. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. We'll just dive into it. Let's see. Thumbs up if you can see my screen. Yeah, great.
All good.
Thank you. Storytelling for a change. We're going to start with a lovely quote from the amazing Maya Angelou. And she says this: people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I know that I might not remember all the words that Christopher told us in his amazing story, but I'm still feeling it. Same goes for Tara's story. So let's see. What's in a story? Now, it's important for me to know that this workshop, this session that we're going to have, we want to hear you guys. So feel free to jump in and offer whatever offers you have to this recipe. So first and foremost, what do we need in a story? We need any guesses in the crowd? What's the first thing we need?
A plot.
A hook, a plot, amazing. Yes, we thought it's good to start with a hero. In this case, for the example, we have the lovely Greta Thunberg, who's doing also incredible work in the world today and is harvesting the power of storytelling to create real world change. So we have a heroine in this case. It can either be a subject or an issue as well. But in this case, we go with Greta for the example. We also need a conflict. A conflict is a driving force of a story. Let's take Greta, for example. If she was a fairy tale, we have this girl and she wakes up, she wants to change the world, she wants to act for climate justice. And by the end of the day, she has succeeded. We all stop using plastic and burning fossil fuels. The end. Not interesting, right? We always need a conflict. If it's Christopher's story, that conflict may be the sea, right? Or getting back to land, right? We can think of numerous examples for this, but a conflict is crucial for us to be engaged in the story. Okay, what else do we need? We need a trajectory. We need to take our characters.
I don't know if it's only on my screen, but I can see, I don't know if people can see the full screen.
Oh, sorry.
You have the, maybe just,
Better?
now it's good, yeah. Yeah, everyone?
Yes, better for me.
Fixed? Okay, great, thank you, sorry.
So after we went over the conflict, we also need a trajectory. We need to take our character or characters from A to Z. And when I say take our characters, I also mean taking the audience through a journey within our story, right? It's got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. What else do we need? Khadija, I heard you say a few words about this, about the authenticity of stories. We all have a radar to spot when someone's being authentic, speaking from their hearts, from personal experience, or from a subject that's super close to them, from their soul, or not. In Greta's case, I think most of us, if not all of us, can agree that whenever we see her speak in front of the UN, for example, we can see her emotions. We can see that her heart is in the right place when she's telling us her story and asking us to change. So keeping it real really works. Emotional anchors. What are emotional anchors? Us, as people who strive for change in the world, tend to go to the statistics. Khadija, you also mentioned this. If we go straight to the numbers, we lose our audience, okay? It's okay to go to the numbers, it's okay to go to facts, whatever subject it is we're dealing with, only after we left some sort of emotional mark, okay? And now we'll speak about that going forward, about these emotional anchors. And really crucial, visual anchors. In this case, we see a polar bear on a melting iceberg. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So each picture, each video that we will incorporate with our story will really help to lure people in. You know, these days, our attention spans are so short. When we scroll through social media, we know within a millisecond if we want to read on, watch on, or just scroll on to the next thing. And what really helps us keep people engaged with our stories are visual anchors, be it photos or videos that really help us. And now I want to open the discussion and ask you, what do you think is missing in this list? What would you add? What makes stories work for you? What keeps you engaged and listening? Any ideas? I see truth, definitely, so that connects to authenticity. A plot, definitely, that connects to the trajectory that we spoke about. Any other ideas? I see Iana has raised her hand. If you can experience that with yourself, what do you mean by that, Amelia? You can also feel free to open your mics and cameras and tell us what would you add to the list? What keeps you hooked? The environment of it. You mean the setting, like where the story takes place? Jasmine?
I was thinking maybe, you know, the persons involved. And let's see, if someone's like saying a story and you know they're lying in the story, but you just want to continue to hear it to see how much lie they're telling it. Yeah.
Interesting. So we just said that authenticity is the way to go, but you're saying that maybe lying will intrigue people in and see how far you can take that lie to. Interesting. I've never heard that one before.
I was gonna say comedy.
Amelia, go ahead.
Comedy is a good way to keep people engaged.
Oh, that's a great addition. About comedy, you know, there's something called laughtivism. Laughtivism is a form of activism, basically, where you use humor to kind of discuss really hard to digest topics in a way that people can relate to. So laughtivism, look it up, it's super interesting. What else do we have here? How relatable it is, definitely. Yes. Oh, a call to action and resolve the conclusion. Yes. When we speak of social justice, climate justice issues, it's not only important to tell an authentic, alluring story, it's also crucial to end it with a call to action and hope. Oh, you're giving out all the amazing answers that we'll discuss today. Wow. Okay. So let's close this discussion for now. I'm glad to see you're really involved with this. Amazing suggestions that we will add to our next workshop for sure. And now I want to give the mic to Noah for the next part.
Thanks. Can you share the screen again?
Sure.
So we're gonna, so this, what Rom just presented is kind of what we see as the general guidelines for any story. And I would like to share a few like pointers or things to think about when we're talking about specifically storytelling for social justice or for climate action or action for the oceans. So the first thing that we want to share with you is this headline. It's not about the equipment or professional background, right? We all know that our screens are full of amazing, engaging stories that were not made with huge resources or funding, but with creative minds and a phone, right? So that's the first thing to remember. We don't have to be, you know, graduating from a fancy school of cinema to be really amazing video storytelling, just as an example. And we gathered a few things that many of these very good stories and what we see as good stories, what they have in common. And here's the first thing we'd like to share. We call it the micro, macro, micro. So the 3 M's. We want to start our stories with a personal perspective. It can be something from the far past or very recent thing that happened to us, but we want to be able to talk about this from our own personal perspective with our own words. That will help us hook, as someone said here, hook our audience, create this emotional first connection to draw people into our story. That's the micro. Then we want to go out to the macro, so the bigger context. Let's say if I'm talking about me falling in love, I want to then show how this is actually a very universal theme, right, of love. And then we want to go back to the micro, but this time it won't be ourselves, but the audience, the person or the people or the community on the other side, the people who are listening, the people who are targeting our story to. So that's the first thing, micro, macro, micro. The second thing, and someone said this here in the chat, is we want to make our message hopeful, especially for climate and ocean action. We know from research that people are actually they move back when we try to tell the story in a fearful or anxiety-provoking way, right? Because these issues are, in fact, very scary. It's hard to find hope in them, but we know from many, many studies that if we feel the fear, we don't want to be, engaged in action. It doesn't create this empowerment to do something, but quite frankly, the opposite. And we also know that people who are in this world of climate or ocean activism, they are talking about feelings of hope. So we want to tell those stories, and I think we heard a lot of hope both in Christopher's and in Tara's stories, even though they were talking about things that are, pretty grave and not at all simple to digest. The next thing is we want our message to be short and accurate. As Rom said, attention span is it's hard these days. We want to be very, very clear with our message. And the last thing we want to point out is that it will drive to action. So whatever story we are telling, whether it is in text, in a photo, in a video, in any form or platform that you are using, when we are talking about storytelling for social justice or for climate action or for ocean action, we want to end with a call to action, something very, very simple that people can do, preferably right now, preferably without any special resources that they might not have. So those are the 4 things that we gathered, from many, many very successful and engaging stories in our mind. I think I'm handing it over to you. No, okay. Oh yes, We're gonna practice. You're on mute. We're gonna practice what we just heard.
Yeah. You ready to practice, everyone? Also, we'll get a chance to know you, some of you now. We're a lot of people here. So, but this exercise is for everyone. Let's practice what we just talked about. Actually, I'm gonna share my screen. It'll be easier. And let's do this. We're gonna take an active break. What does that mean? We want you guys to choose an object that represents a topic you care for. It can be around ocean action, climate justice, or something that's super personal for you or mundane. And we want you to show that object and tell us what's the story behind it. Why did you choose it? And now this is just an exercise, it's not going anywhere. We just want to get to know you guys better, hear about what you're working on, what your interests are in terms of your activism or your work. And for that, we're going to do it real quick. Just take a second, look around the room, and see what objects you can find that represent a topic that you really care about. Okay, so let's take a minute to do that. And whomever wants to go first, if you have your object ready, let us know. And oh, I see Jasmine is ready. Jasmine from Barbados. Is that a question or you're ready?
Actually, I have a question. Does it have to be an object in the room, or it could just, as you said, it could be anything whatsoever?
It would be nice if it's in the room. If it's impossible, it's okay. But if you have something that represents it, could be nice. You can draw it on a piece of paper also, just a thought. Okay, an object that represents a topic you care about in the world, your world, our world, any world. And you can write, you can also raise your hand, write in the chat when you're ready, so we can start hearing some people. Lefort, am I saying your name right? I'm sorry.
Yep, correct.
Okay, yes. Do you want to show us your object? Tell us about it.
Okay, just a second.
I'm loving the background noise, by the way. I'm loving the birds around you.
So I was given this.
What is that? Is that a shovel?
It's a cane, which I am. Yep, which I was given this at the hospital because I had difficulty walking and standing. And the stories, a lady told me about it, and some other guy bought it for himself, but then, you know, the lady told him that I needed one, and he came over and he gave it to me to use. So it's a gift. I think that's the story behind it.
Definitely.
Since January.
Okay, and what is that? If you were to take this amazing and super personal story of yours, of this cane, and connect it to an issue, a topic, what topic would it be?
I would say there's a lot of people that actually don't have access to this and they have difficulty walking. So, you know, if more of this was like readily available, or, you know, there were like groups that, you know, because these stuff are pretty expensive. So I mean, like getting it for free would be a really good idea to people that actually need it, which I have seen a lot of people that need it at the hospital, but, you know, due to financial restraints. So if there was like maybe a group, say something like the Red Cross, but instead of, you know, they renting it, you know, giving it to them, you know, as a, you know, to motivate them, to tell them, you know, at least, you know, that we are thinking of you and, you know, we want you to move on, you know, at least try to make progress and work themselves just in one place.
So you're saying we have all the elements here. This is a perfect first example. We can hear that you're authentic. We can hear the triple M approach, the 3 M's. So you took it from your story, connected to something universal, and ended it with a thought about what can we all do, right, as an audience to maybe connect to this topic, super important topic. So thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause for Lefort, please?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Jasmine, Cody, and yeah, go ahead, Jasmine. And then we'll do Cody.
Oh, hello everyone. So I just took up my goggles from swimming. So I've been swimming for about, I think, 12 years of my life. It's impacted me in such a way that I realize it's a really good skill to learn. And I think a lot of persons should learn it, but I know it's not readily available. So I had an idea because I saw an article in a newspaper, local newspaper here, about fishermen drowning. And that was strange to me because I know it's a profession on the water. And it impacted me in such a way that I was saying I could open up workshops or something, but because it's not something that is, at least that it's not, I haven't seen anything like that. And I do think that if persons get to have this skill that is free, they would be able or wanting to learn it a bit more. I think it's an excellent thing to have and to impact the young generations with.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jasmine. I think all the elements were there. You got me intrigued. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that it's an issue that fishermen have. So it's super intriguing, interesting, and important. And it's also something that we didn't discuss yet. Besides it's being like, you give hope with what you're suggesting or starting to suggest around this issue, it's also super creative. And it's not something like, let's save the world. It's not something huge that we cannot ever do. It sounds like if you were to choose to follow this path of this story, of this cause, it sounds like something that is attainable, right? You can fulfill that. You can recruit people to it. You can have volunteers to go with you. So thank you, Jasmine. Let's have a round of applause for Jasmine and her story. Thank you. Next up, we have Cody and then Chris. Cody, please.
All right. Hi, morning, everyone. My object isn't, well, can't really describe her as an object, but about 4 or 5 years ago, a friend of mine had a turtle who he needed to put up for adoption. And my family doesn't really do pets. I'm the only environmentalist in my house. So they were kind of skeptical of like, Cody, are we going to bring a turtle into the house? Why not a dog or a cat? But she is about 10 years old. So I got her when she was like 6. And that's pretty old for a yellow belly slider. So when I got her, it sparked a lot of conversations like, why do you have a turtle as a pet? So it kind of opened a doorway for me to talk about animals and the different types of animals and how you care for them, because everyone had questions about her. Every time I introduce her, it gives me the opportunity to share about how we can care for our animals, different animals, not just dogs and cats that we have on this planet that we need to take care of. So yeah, Luna is my, oh, this is Luna.
Luna,
Everyone.
yeah, I was gonna ask. Luna is the name?
Yeah, Luna. So yeah, Luna is kind of my gateway into, well, one of my gateways into speaking about my passions, which is taking care of the creatures on this earth that we have, because it's our responsibility. So yeah.
Beautiful, Cody. It can also be a gateway to tell other people and have them join to this amazing cause and effort that you're trying to promote. So again, perfect example, personal story connects to something universal. I'm interested to see what call for actions I could take if you were to show me the visual anchors that you have. And the visual anchors, I can imagine a lot of pictures, a lot of videos of Luna and how you got Luna. And also, there was another important element to your story here. We had a plot twist. We thought it's going to be an object, but it's no object at all. Turtle is not an object, which is a part of the message. So great job. Let's have a round of applause for Cody. Thank you very much. So we have Chris, and then we have, who else? Joshua, Nathine, I'm seeing, right? And Elena. So let's start with Chris, and we have another, and that's it. I think we'll have room for maybe 1 or 2 more people. Chris, please.
All right, hey guys. So for me, so this little guy right here is an elephant, right? So this little guy right here is an elephant. So I do right now. I was currently involved in research, and I always coming up. My grandma used to tell me, "You look at things like as an elephant. You don't eat a whole entire elephant. I mean, nobody eats elephants, but you eat it piece by piece, and that problem becomes smaller. So I always, this little guy right here, I had this for years. So I always look at it and it's like the elephant or the problem isn't really as big as you think it is. Once you attack it, once you go at it and you start to pursue your dream, pursue your goal. Like what I do, like I'm currently doing some research on the small tooth sawfish right now. And I thought it was it was so much bigger than me. And I'm completed now doing all of my the interviews and getting all the data. And then I look back at this and it's like as big as I thought that elephant was. Now look at it. So it's a symbolism behind this. And then also the elephant is strength and power. But for me, so that's what it, so what so this means a lot. And I had it for years and I always look at it and I always remember no matter how big a problem is, the elephant can end up being this small. So yeah.
Thank you, Chris. That was very inspirational, if I might say so. Beautiful, beautiful. I think I'm gonna order such an elephant to myself and keep it with me in my pocket. That is very nice. And I'm seeing some great response here. So thank you very much, Chris. Let's have a round of applause for Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. No, we have time for one more. Are we good?
Yeah, we can do one more. I think Nathine is next.
Nathine?
Yeah, hi, my name is Nathine. Yeah, so first I just want to say thanks to everybody who shared their stories. I really enjoyed listening to you. So this is my object. It's a little octoplushie and it's invertible. So you have the happy side and the sad side, but I keep it on the happy side. So I got this along with two others for two of my friends who are in the same class as me in university. We do a BSc in coastal and ocean management, hence the octopus. So I think this object, I keep it on my desk all the time. And every time I look at it, it just brings a smile to my face because it reminds me of my friends. And they have really been a big part of my university journey. They've helped me, we've helped each other, we've collaborated. I live far away from campus and we've worked together to sleep over and travel and stay by one and parents drop us. And it's just been an example of that friendship bond that I cherish so much. And yeah, that's my story about my
Amazing. Amazing. So if you had to choose one topic, let's say you take it a step further and choose from this personal story some issue that will be universal. Would it be something around what? Like friendship, would it be? Would it be around ocean action and friendship?
I think if I had to choose one, I'd probably say that something so small could bring so much happiness and could bring so much connection with people. And I think that's something that we need to remember, that even a small act of kindness could impact so much change.
Boom, definitely. Mic drop right there. That was a good way to end this exercise, but not before we give a round of applause to Nathine, please. Thank you so much for sharing. And sorry, everyone that didn't get a chance to go. We have a lot of ground to cover. And with that, the mic goes to you, Noah. And I will, do you want me to share my screen now?
Yeah, please.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. That was awesome. Very, very interesting. And yeah, I wrote in the chat, if you want to keep sharing, please do. So let's take this one step forward and try to think about our call to actions in a deeper way, a little bit more complex way, and ask ourselves, if we're talking about a campaign or a story that we want to now start, developing or sharing, I think one of the first questions we need to ask ourselves is what kind of change we are seeking to, create in the world. So again, from the many, many campaigns and stories that we looked at, here are some, like a typology of the types of change that we can be working for. The first one we call changing views, and these will be campaigns, and I'm going to use campaigns, but think of stories, action, like, you know, it's just a way to talk about everything that we try to create that brings about change or action. So any campaign that seeks to change the views of our audience. So it can be, let's think of an example, like an awareness campaign that we want to have people realize that actually recycling is not the answer to our problems, but we should just use less, right? Consume less. We just want to sort of change people's way of thinking or what they know, right? We can instill knowledge or have people really change what they think about a certain topic that we want to talk about. The next one is going a little bit further and not just change people's views, but actually changing their behaviors. So if they are now, as I said before, not just thinking about the recycling, but actually consuming less. So they knew that, they learned that in the Changing Views campaign. But if we actually want them to change their behaviors, that's a different thing. And then we will have to ask ourselves, what is the specific action that we want them to take? What is the behavior that we want them to change? The next one is even more like, you know, I guess deeper and harder also. And that's when we go from changing behaviors, which is very much concentrated in individual action, to changing structures. So we all know that climate change is an issue that has to do with the economy and social justice, and it goes way beyond just people changing their behaviors. And this campaign that talks about changing structures would ask, who are the people or the organizations that have power, which we want to change, or we want to have people like, you know, see that we need to change. Where are those power relations stand, and we want to address. And then the last thing is about building communities. So those would be campaigns that seek to connect people, to have people maybe understand that they're a part of one community. Not always we are aware that we you know, share a problem or share a perspective. So those campaigns would be focused on connecting people and building a community for a certain cause. And I think it's a little bit confusing talking about it this way. So the next slide would make it a little bit easier, because and you can go to the next slide, because we go into actually the actions that those campaigns can encourage, right? So let's go to the next one. I only see the title. Yeah, okay. So this is one type of action that a campaign can try to cause. Collectivism, everything that we can do from our computers, right? We can sign a petition, we can join a pledge, we can write a letter to a representative, we can tweet, we can share. The next one. I don't know if you know this term UGC, user-generated content. You probably know these challenges from social media where campaigns are calling on people to join in a certain action, like the Ice Bucket Challenge with the ALS or the Meatless Mondays. It's when we try to, another example here is the open call for submissions, when we try to make our audience a content generating force, right? We engage them in making content. So that will just add more depth and color to any campaign that we do. Next one. A POV, so that really relates, POV is a point of view. So we want to have our audience learn something new, change their past perspectives. That goes along with the changing views type of change. Next one is a donation. If we want our audience to donate to our cause or to our organization or to anything that we're trying to promote. The next one is anything that gets you out of the house to actually do something, volunteer, engage in community project, yeah, anything that really connects you to a real life action. And the last thing is more related to collective action, which is more related to the type of change that we talked about that I called changing structure. And that would be, for example, to try have people go out to vote, maybe participate in protests, and maybe boycotting a product or a company that we want to, you know, fight against. So I think these types of actions, they each correspond with a type of change of a campaign, but they can also work together. We can use, you know, some of them for different types of campaigns. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to this list. It's kind of a big list, but I invite you to think, if you know, if you heard of, if you saw, if you did yourself, any campaign, any story, anything that you shared, anything that you worked for that asked people to do something that is not in this list. You could just feel free to unmute yourselves.
Hi again. I remember, so I think someone mentioned laughterism. I remember it from a Great Big Story film that they had, where this guy decided to start, it's a nonprofit organization, but it's more that he's like a comedian. So what he does is that he brings kids who are going through problems at home, and he would bring them in, and they're like his audience, and he would like perform shows and stuff for them, and then there would be other persons that would come and donate to him, so that the other comedians that are alongside him are getting paid in such a way so that they can continue doing this work. But they're trying to promote like healthy relationships in the homes and the communities that they have. And I thought that was an example. I'm not sure, but I thought that was an example of laughterism. So I thought that was really great initiative.
Yeah, I think it's a good example of like sort of hiding your cause, right? You're doing something that people can enjoy and engage in, not because they care about the cause, but because they want to be entertained in this specific example. And then through the back door, you're like, oh, there's actually a really important cause here. You're already here, you're a captive audience. And now I can, you know, sort of inject the social content, right? Yeah, it's a good example. Any other thoughts? All right. So we'll
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have an organization that is doing amazing work. Okay. You know, a lot of times in storytelling, it's a lot of show and tell, and you got to switch between, right? But so we talked a lot about the telling aspect. And I want to show an example of an organization that Noah and I really are groupies of. They're called the Sunrise Movement. They're from the United States, and they have a really simple one-liner. I'm going to read this out to you and see how short and accurate it is, since we spoke about short and accurate and short attention spans. So the Sunrise Movement, you ready for this? The Sunrise Movement is a youth movement to stop climate change and create millions of good jobs in the process. Boom, I know what they're all about. Okay. Now the Sunrise Movement, they're super open source about what they do. And they help other activists either join their cause or get help on how to open up their own kind of initiatives. And we summarize some stuff that we really love to use in our work when we talk to activists, and also when we talk about with ourselves about what we do. So Sunrise Movement, they're saying the three biggest reasons people don't take action is that, one, they don't think they know enough. They don't think the issue matters to them. or they don't think that they can make a difference. Let's give that a moment to sink in. Do you relate to this? I personally really relate to this about stuff that's going on in the world right now, about issues in my city, about the war in the Ukraine. I just don't think I know enough. I know that it matters to me, but I don't know what my personal connection, and also I don't think I can make a difference. I have no idea how to help. But if someone were to start an initiative, either on climate change, ocean action, or the war in Ukraine, and they would implement these next few elements, then I would have a really easier time to figure out what can I do? How can I participate? And what are these elements? So the Sunrise Movement say, we keep our message simple. I can't stress this enough, okay? Short and accurate. It's a lot harder to do, but it goes a long way. Secondly, we, Sunrise Movement, make it meaningful by connecting the cause to our life and to the lives of people we're talking to. This is going back to the Triple M approach. Connect the universal to your personal story and end with the person or the people on the other side. And hope. Hope is the name of the game when we're speaking about activism. Now, to further go and show and not just tell, we're going to watch something. What are we going to watch? Not something by the Sunrise Movement. It's a short clip. It's from a film called 2040, something that has to do with positive vision of what we could aspire and work for on year 2040. And I want you, this is not an active break, this is an active watch, okay? So I want you to watch this, consider everything that we discussed, whatever stayed with you, and try to answer within yourselves what works for you in this video and what needs work. If you were the producer, if you were the creator, if you had say in, okay, go back to the editing room, add some of this, delete some of that. What works? What needs work? We good? All right, let's give it a watch.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Anything we ever achieved started with someone imagining it first. So if we can't imagine a way out of the climate crisis, it just can't happen. We know that the crisis is getting worse every single day, and many of us are losing hope for our future. But despair is not an option. We must rise up and meet the greatest challenge of our lives with stubborn optimism. And imagining is the first step. So, are you ready to imagine? In this critical decade, the biggest tree planting campaign in history is sucking billions of tons of carbon out of the air, and forests and indigenous lands, they're protected. This is what your city looks like. It's green, I mean everywhere. Streets are pedestrian and kid-friendly. Food growing on rooftops, in car parks, which by the way, we don't need anymore, because we don't own cars anymore. And here's something. Birds. Can you imagine your city as a sanctuary for nature and wildlife? There are solar panels on every rooftop across the globe. Clean, interconnected energy lights every home, every clinic, every school. We no longer choke on the toxic fumes of fossil fuels. It's not hard to imagine. This technology already exists. And what about the millions of new jobs created? Are you picturing it? Really picturing it? Roads? They're green too. Traffic's cut right down. Public transport everywhere is electric, dependable, and free. Can you smell the air? Clean. Farming? All regenerative, which means healthy soil and better food. And we don't eat much meat. Can you imagine what we could do with the third of the world's cropland currently used to grow animal feed? Here's something to imagine. Fields of seaweed, miles long, grown in oceans that cross the planet. They draw down billions of tons of carbon, restore sea life, and guess what? They're a limitless source of protein-rich food. And we can do so much more. Rewild our land, protect our cities from rising sea levels, restore coral reefs. These things we're imagining, They're all possible now, just with technology that's available today. We are the last generation that can prevent catastrophic runaway climate change. We cannot give up. Anything we ever achieved started with someone imagining it first. This is the decade to make this imagined future happen. Share this video and help those around you have the courage to imagine it too.
All right. So we want to hear all of you, whoever wants to speak. And again, I'm reminding you what worked for you in this video and what needs work. What would you change? What would you add? What would you delete? So I'm very curious to hear what worked for you and what needs work. Who wants to say something? See, Alexander's adding in the chat. Stubborn optimism, hope, using your imagination positively. Definitely. So that, I'm guessing that worked for you. Any other thoughts?
I think the imagery that corresponded with what she was saying really helped you visualize her words.
Yeah, definitely. As you're saying that, I'm seeing people writing about the visuals in the chat. By the way, these videos were taken from that documentary I spoke about, but keep in mind that these days there are some websites, resources that are completely free that allow us to use videos, to use photos by professional filmmakers without any copyrights. So if what's keeping you from telling your story are the visual aspect of things, then there are resources which are completely free. We can share that in the chat in a second. Visual anchors, definitely Noah. And Cody completely agrees with Nathan. That's great. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of love for this video. That's good. What would you change, if anything? What would you do differently?
I think there might not have been enough personal, like, it didn't feel like there was any personal stories in there.
Thank you for saying that. Completely. So we're lacking some of something that is a personal story. Could be nice to hear, who is this person speaking to us? Why is it important for that person? I missed that as well. Yeah, definitely. So the personal connection was missing. What else? What else would you add? Or edit out and not keep in the movie, in the clip? Anyone? Okay, so I see Selena is saying it was not relatable to everyone. How would this work on a small island, for example? You're talking about the vision for the future. Interesting question. So it's not a universal clip, you're saying. Maybe it's just for people from bigger countries, right? Definitely. So who was it in the discussion that I said that the cause is something, with the swimming for fishermen, right? That's a cause that we can understand how we can work with it towards actual change. But in this clip, maybe it feels like a bit too much, which is something that we do as activists. We go for causes, we tell people, hey, I need all of you to donate to my Kickstarter project. Just sign your credit card here, because I'm gonna change the world. It's too big, I don't believe you. How can you change the world? I mean, the videos were nice. You got me optimistic. Okay, I might share this video, but give you money for it.
Its defense, I think that was the goal.
You're right. Okay.
I think it was in the genre.
Yes, you're right. To be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, I think it was in the genre of not changing behaviors, not changing structures, not building community, maybe a little bit of building community, but mostly changing views in the sense that it was just an attempt at, getting us, the audience, to think in that way, in a way that can imagine a better future. And then if you're from a small island or a small city or somewhere that is not what they depicted, you can use the same idea. You can imagine a better future the way it would be for your context.
Definitely. No, I totally agree. And to be fair, they only asked to share the video. That was the call to action in the end. And that's something that, yeah, we just did. We just shared the video. So check on that. But where I was going at with this is a point that I think it's crucial to remember, that all of us here in this virtual room care about issues that have potential to really change stuff for the better. But what often gets in the way for us, for that to happen, is that we choose too much of a goal that is just not attainable as individuals, as organizations. So we got to fit our vision, we got to fit what we ask people to do to something that is attainable to us. And there's a sweet spot there. I'm not saying, oh, just organize a beach cleaning day and that's it, you did your job, goodbye. No, no. You got to find that sweet spot. That's not, I'm going to save the world tomorrow. And that's not, oh, I'm just going to ask one person to send that one email, that $1 donation. It's got to be outside your comfort zone, but enough to keep you hopeful and in the game so you can continue doing the amazing work that you are doing. Okay, what else do we have? Eating the elephant one piece at a time. I'm loving that this is a motif of this workshop. I'm loving it. Okay, the focus was scattered during the video. Yes, I agree. It goes to a lot of places. Okay, so we have a lot of good opinions here about this video. I hope it taught you something. And now, right now, we're gonna move on to the next bit. Right now, we're gonna go and we're gonna do another active break. But before that, I want to speak to you about the power of collaborating with others. Okay, I don't know if it's in English, but in my language, we say a person is not an island, right? We have to have support. It takes a village and so on and so forth. There are many sayings around that, which all say the same thing. We cannot do something by ourselves. We can, but if we collaborate with others, especially in the fields that we're discussing today, it goes a long way. So, no man is an island. Thank you. So let's share the screen again, go to our presentation, and let's speak about how do we approach collaborating with others. I think Noah and I learned this the hard way over the projects that we had, that we spoke to directors or producers or NGOs or people that we wanted to fund our projects. And we approached it in such a way that we kind of missed our opportunity to speaking with those persons or organizations. So this we learned in the hard way. How do we approach people or organizations that we want to work with? One, we got to map out what we need from these people or organizations. And that is also mapping the people that we want to talk to, or the NGOs, or the equipment. Whatever it is we're missing, we got to list it, so that we can be very specific with what we ask. And being specific is just the next element. When you draft a concrete request from someone, it helps to highlight what can you do that's different from what others are doing. When you do that, it helps you to your other work to realize what it is that you're special, that differentiates you. What's your differentiator? And why is your team the best to do what you're trying out to do? And also people that we ask help from, they want to know, what do you already have? Do you have some funding? Is this just an idea that you want to start a crowdfunding campaign to? What stage are you in? Third, try, framing in storytelling is everything. How do we frame what we ask? If we come and we beg someone to do something for us, it's different than if we offer them an opportunity to join us. And when you present yourself in such a way, it's not only uplifting to you as a person doing the work, it's also very intriguing and inviting to that person or that organization that you're sending an email or making that cold call to, okay? People love to join something that's successful, that's hopeful, that's an opportunity for them. And they also need to know, we live in a capitalistic world. I'm not trying to be capitalistic by saying this, but they want to know what's in it for them. So keep that in mind, okay? And lastly, When everyone says no, and they're gonna say no, okay, try again. If it doesn't work over and over again, try to see what didn't work. What were people's responses to your request, okay? What's recurring there that maybe something in the way that you ask is giving you that no. But like everything in life that we set out to do, we're gonna get some rejection, and that's a natural part of the game. And that rejection, that no, can put us on the path that is more right for us with the people that are more right for us. Okay, now that we've discussed that, and I'm sure you all agree that collaborations really, really help us, we wanted to talk to you about collaborating within this hopefully not temporary community that you have here, okay? How can we, as a group, as a community that is existing right now, can help each other? We all have our talents. We all have some spare time to do things that are not an effort to us, but might be really helpful to others. And this will be our second and last active break. And we prepared a spreadsheet for you. I know we talked about not numbers and facts, but only personal stories, but you're gonna love this spreadsheet.
I'm gonna share, just let me make sure, Khadija, we have until 11, right? We have like 7 minutes left.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
So this last thing is just to get this community, as Om said, to collaborate. And this is a sort of our attempt at building community. I'm going to share a link in the chat box. You can go in. Let me know if you should have access to it. You should have access to edit the, yeah, I can see people in. Okay, great. So we are going to start with the first sheet, which says gifts. And then it says my name, email, what I can give, right? The yellow part. And you're going to take a minute or two to just write down anything that you can offer this group. It can be a skill that you have. It can be equipment that you can share. It can be a resource that you have, you can easily utilize, like a personal connection, someone you can connect to other people, maybe an organization that an organization that you are working for or with, and you can offer their services in some way. Anything that you can think about that you can share with this group. So I can see you writing your names, that's great. And then see Rom's example, he wrote storytelling consulting. So if anybody wants to tap into that offer, you just write your name right next to the Rom's yellow line in the green part, your name and email. And then it will be on you, the green column, to approach the yellow one, okay? Because someone here is suggesting their whatever, their skills, their help, their resources. You're gonna write your name, but you're gonna approach the person who is gifting you that gift to actually, start working on it. So do that. While you're doing that, you can also jump to the next sheet. It's called asks. In the asks sheet, you can write your name and email and what you need. And then if someone can offer you that or help you with that, they will write their name in the green part and their email too, of course. Okay, if anyone has questions about this very complicated activity? And by the way, this is a resource that can, keep on living. This is a database that you can keep using, not just in the next 4 minutes, but later today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. I can see amazing gifts that people are giving here.
I have to download Google Sheets.
what I'm using right now. I don't have Google Sheets, so I can't access it.
Do you want us to maybe you can write down what you're offering or what you asked with your email, and then we can type it in for you. And maybe Khadija can send you that spreadsheet later, or you can connect to it later.
I think it's because on your phones probably.
Yes, that's what it is. I'm on my cell phone.
Yeah, if you have access to a computer at a later point, you can do that. But as Om said, you can just write it in the chat right now and we can just add it. So your name and email and what you give, or your name and email and what you suggest, but I mean, what you need. But yes, you're not able, or maybe you are able to just see what people are giving.
Oh, sorry. No, I can't see. If I can see, no, I can't see
Okay.
what they're offering. Only if they type in the chat.
Okay, great.
So we have 2 or 3 minutes left, and I would like to take this opportunity to say that I wrote it down also. Any storytelling consultation you need, or if you want our advice on something, if you want to collaborate with us with Pendulum or something, then I will just paste our website and social media. So feel free to follow us. I'll just add Noah's Instagram here as well.
And I see a lot of generosity here, but people are, yeah, but people are not asking for, okay, Chris, I'm going to add this. Yeah.
So guys, do you see that asks tab on the right there, on the bottom right?
Yeah, no, that people are seeing that, I think, but I'm talking about the first sheet. All those wonderful suggestions, you can start filling out your names in the green part as well. Okay. Are you adding Om, or am I doing it?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm adding our social media and stuff right now.
Okay. Okay, so with that, I want to say thank you to all of you. This was great. You were amazing participants. Khadija, thank you again for inviting us. And Om, if you have anything, final words to share?
No, this has been really fun. What an incredible group. Thank you, Khadija, for the opportunity, and thank all of you for showing up and being here. This was great. Thank you very much.
Well, of course, thank you so much, Ram and Noah. And I feel like the participants were very much engaged and active in this session, storytelling. So I hope we have some storytellers. I don't know what's going on with my voice. Sorry. I hope we have some storytellers in the future coming out from the Caribbean soon. That would be great. And if, like Ram said, if you guys want to reach out to Pendulum, of course, you could follow them on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And when you have their email and access to their website, so definitely reach out. They would answer. And if they don't answer, message me and I'll reach out to them and I'll make sure that they respond to you. Right? And tomorrow's session is on marine degradation in the Caribbean. And if you guys, wait, what am I saying? That's tomorrow's session. Right, attendance. So the attendance form and stuff for today, that will be sent out. Joshua, if you could drop that in the chat one last time, again, for people to fill it out. And in terms of the recordings, we have everything up on Google Drive and it will be shared with you. So you will get the recordings, the attendance form on the drive, as well as the absentee form if it is you miss a session. So be sure to check that out when that email comes in today. Hopefully before 6 o'clock tonight, you should get that. And thank you guys so much for coming, for showing up and for participating. This was day 2. I think it was great. I guess we will see you all tomorrow, unless you all want to take another screenshot for today. Yes, no? Okay, I see Ram has the biggest thumbs up possible. So, Sweelan, another screenshot for today.
Sure.
Remember, not like yesterday, you have to give us a countdown. Wait, everybody who could put their camera on, it's on. Yes, I'm seeing happy smiling faces. Okay.
Are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1, smile.
One more?
Okay,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, have to get on the next side.
Okay.
Again, I'm gonna take it in 3, 2, 1. All right, I got it. Thank you guys.
All right, well, I'll see you guys tomorrow, bright and early once again. Make sure and eat some breakfast, please. Like I said, don't want anybody passing out during the sessions and stuff. So yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you very much.